Anyway, okay, Terry. So we heard that you have been to China. So which year exactly you have been to here?
Okay. Well, yes. I mean, the joy of coming on this production is that my wife was in it.
Okay.
I wasn't playing the judge on the tour. Suddenly, the part of the judge came up for grabs, and I suddenly thought, I can do the judge. And Lucy and I know Lucy Bailey pretty well. So suddenly I'm playing the judge. But the excitement for me was that I had been to Shanghai and Beijing before.
Oh, wow.
Not just before, but with the very first foreign production of theatre that had ever been allowed into China since 1949.
Yeah.
Which was an enormous privilege. And it was part of Deng Xiaoping's liberalization, opening up. But we got such a warm welcome, and we flew into Shanghai from Osaka in Japan.
Yeah.
And because we were very radically minded young people, we all kissed the ground when we came into China.
Oh, wow.
We did. And it was extremely exciting. We met wonderful actors, 5 actors who were going to do our voices in Beijing for a television that we did. We must have performed Hamlet to more people in one night than had ever witnessed a Shakespeare production. We played to about 50 million people in television sets across.
Yeah, even television as well, yes.
And they also voiced us for the theatre we were playing in, because they had an induction loop so that people could hear. And one of them was Ying Raosheng, who, great Chinese actor, who played Willy Loman in Beijing, directed by Arthur Miller.
Yeah.
He did so many things, and he became a film star, played the prison governor. He was a delightful man. He had worked on the fields during the Cultural Revolution. He had broken hands.
Yeah.
He chain smoked through a long cigarette holder.
Yeah.
And he spoke the most immaculate Noel Coward type English. It was terribly clipped and beautiful, and we adored him. He was a great bear of a man. He was a Manchu, and he was smashing, and he was with us throughout the trip, as were the other actors, and they became great friends.
Wow.
And 3 years later, he knocked on my door, on my dressing room door at the Haymarket Theatre in London, where I was playing Valentine in You Never Can Tell with a great cast, and it was Stephen Ying, or we called him Stephen Ying.
Raosheng, he even has an English name.
Who was by then the Under Minister for Culture of China. Yeah. And it was thrilling to meet him again in London, extraordinary. And he then went on and took our director of Hamlet back with him to China, and they performed, I forget, another play, but he was a glorious man. But the exciting thing for us was coming into these extraordinary cities, because they were different from anything we'd seen. There was almost like a different spectrum.
Yeah.
There were greens and blues and greys. Everyone was in padded uniforms, and coal-fired city, bicycles through the streets, hand carts everything being manhandled in and off the river, and the river was what was from the Wangpu down to the Yangtze. The river was what made Shanghai at that time, and it was fascinating with sampans and junks. We got taken down on the Wangpu on a beautiful junk, and had a glorious day out and got drunk, very drunk on Qingzhou beer.
But do you remember which show you are performing in China at that time?
Oh yeah, it was Hamlet.
It's Hamlet.
Hamlet by William Shakespeare. And Derek Jacobi was a wonderful Hamlet. He was blonde-haired, very good-looking, and very famous because he did a television series called I, Claudius. No, it was very good. I played Laertes, and Laertes has a huge duel at the end with so I think I can say I've probably died more times in Shanghai than any actor.
What does the Chinese audience respond?
They were very lively.
Okay.
They had simultaneous translation in Mandarin at the side of the stage, and I think some of them had an induction loop to hear the actors speak in Mandarin. But generally speaking, people conversed. They discussed the play throughout, and they ate throughout.
Wow.
And of course, because it was a coal-fired city and everybody was smoking, and there was a fog across. But it was fascinating. I mean, it was culturally just fascinating. And then Beijing, when we got to Beijing, we went from steamy, hot Shanghai, we went into 20 degrees of cold.
Oh wow, it's a climate
Climate
difference.
change.
Yeah.
And we discovered the most extraordinary thing was that the cooperatives were bringing in Chinese cabbages into the streets of Beijing, and they used the streets of Beijing as refrigerators. There were stacks of Chinese cabbages in like small Great Walls of China on every street corner, and people would pay for them while they were whole. But as soon as they started to rot, when the thaw came, then anyone was allowed to take them. And we thought, these are the toughest people in the world.
Yeah.
This was their diet through a whole winter. I loved Shanghai. Beijing was Beijing, you know.
Yeah,
it was
it's different, yeah.
But it's fascinating for the Forbidden City and the Summer Palace and all of that. But
So after 1979, you have never have chance to back to China.
that's not true, not entirely true.
Okay.
3-4 years later, I played Petruchio in Taming of the Shrew, and we went to Hong Kong.
Okay.
And I've been 3 times to the Hong Kong Festival, and each time I've tried to get up the Pearl River by hovercraft.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
And I succeeded once, and I got to Gwangju and stayed overnight.
Okay.
But that's the only time I've been able to get back. So for me now, I mean,
Beijing, Shanghai is you have never performed.
No, I've never
in them,
performed
yeah.
the extraordinary cities we've been in,
Yeah.
like Shenzhen and Hangzhou and
Yeah.
Hangzhou.
So for you to come back to mainland China this time, what is the difference you think about the people and the construction of the city?
Well, not only the city is beautiful, they're all different. Shenzhen is like kind of
Yeah.
space age and
Yeah.
mad, really, and just, for electronics and whatever. And then the garden cities, Guangzhou and Suzhou. We've explored as much as we can. And for Shanghai, when we got taken down on our junk down the Bund, you could see the horizon over Pudong.
Yeah.
There was nothing but fields.
New skyscrapers, yes.
There were pylons drifting away, there were avenues of plane trees, but you could see the horizon away in the distance. And now Pudong is, of course, up there, the most astonishing city.
Yeah, financial center, yes.
Shanghai, it's kind of brilliant. It's also, it's wealthy. We hadn't expected such wealth, that there would be Gucci and Prada. And,
all the big brand, yes.
Yeah. No, I think we're enormously surprised, and not only that, by the beauty of the architecture. What I would emphasise is we've had as great, as warm a welcome now as we had then. We were incredibly well received and treated. We had in 1979, and the Chinese people we've met. The delight for us is that our audiences are so young.
Yeah,
it really is. Well, it is. It's extraordinary. Back home in England, we play to, the only people who can afford to go to the theatre are those who are retired, who worked all their lives. But here, it's a youthful audience, and that's thrilling, absolutely thrilling. And the fact that they engage with what we're doing so intelligently.
Yeah, they responded on the stage very smartly and
incredible, especially in Shanghai. I think people are on the button and keeping up with it. So we are racing our performance. We've suddenly realizing we can tug the audience. So we've taken 5 minutes out of the show this afternoon just by thinking on our feet. We're a good troupe. Good,
Yeah, great. So a little bit back to the 1979. So we heard that there is going to 2 ways to translate. Do you remember, like, one is still the subtitle with a big screen, or like another way is like instant translate, somebody is say Chinese in the sound microphone or mic?
I think when we played in Beijing, because it was a delegates hall for people coming from all over China, so they would be speaking in different dialects.
Yeah.
But presumably Mandarin was something they would all recognize.
Yes, Mandarin,
I think that's
English,
so.
yes.
So there was an induction loop system whereby people had earphones.
They have earphone in the audience.
Yes, and they were attached to desks that people sat at.
Yeah.
So Stephen Ying Rao Cheng, and the other actors were able to speak our lines at the same time as we performed them.
Okay.
And people could have them in an earphone as well, so they could hear what we were saying, as well as we still spoke our lines. But they were pretty big auditoriums.
Yes.
We played to huge numbers of people.
Yeah.
And these, cotton padded people, audience, all in blue cotton padded jackets.
Yeah, it's a uniform type.
Extraordinary. But it was phenomenal. That was. I can't tell you how exciting it was.
I can only imagine, like, at this moment, the...
Well, I imagine it's difficult for you to imagine, except that...
as me as well.
Photographs. But I have a instant recall of everything that we saw. Wow. Everything we saw. I absolutely loved every single minute of it. And it was thrilling. And it's thrilling to be back. It really is.
Yeah. The last question is, like, you will be in China for a 3 months touring.
Yeah.
So do you think, I think the theater are more new, are more, the audience are new as well. So do you think any challenge for you as well, like to perform again in China? Or anything you expected, like you will receive the feedback from audience?
Well, we knew the theatres were going to be very high end.
Okay.
Designed by architects that we can't afford back in England, back in Britain. We cannot afford. China manages to afford from all over the world.
Yeah, big size.
And they are sensational buildings.
Yeah.
And not only that, but where they are, the lakes that they stand upon, and the situation is to die for. I mean, it's just, we're open-mouthed. They are big, but they also manage, because we've got microphones, I suppose, but they manage to be fairly intimate as well in terms of, we don't have to yell into them. So that's very exciting. And on we go, and every new theatre we're still jaw-dropped, this one, it goes woomph like that, and apparently it's as intimate at the top as it... We've got big theatres back in England, but they're fairly old. Yeah. Our theatres are crumbling away. They're called Matcham theatres, and they're beautiful. They're gilt and red, and they've got wonderful upholstery, but they're falling to bits. They need so many millions spent on them to repair them in London and whatever. Well, God bless China. It's got theatre running. But
sometimes, I like the old big theatre, and of course London Coliseum.
I grew up my training was in Manchester, in England, and I met a man who's my tutor called Stephen Joseph, who was very important because he started Theatre in the Round. And in Theatre in the Round, you have no set. Well, you accept what's on the set, but the audience sits all the way around the auditorium, either on a square. And I have played 15 productions in a beautiful theatre in Manchester called the Royal Exchange, which is set extraordinary enough in the biggest room in Europe, which was the Cotton Exchange.
I've been to Manchester before.
Yes, okay. It's a glorious theatre.
It's very glorious.
And I have been lucky enough to play 15 productions there. I love it. That's where my soul resides, because it takes me back to my training. Stephen Joseph was a proselytizer, a propagandist for Theatre in the Round, and he sent us out to tear down the proscenium arch wherever we could. There are not enough of them, but there are some, and that for me is perfect theatre. I call it Theatre of Dreams, and I get lost there. I played Big Daddy in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof about 5 or 6 years ago in the Royal Exchange, and I played glorious things in there. I love it to death. But that's my ideal of theatre. However, I'm a great internationalist. I've been so bloody lucky. I have travelled here, there, and everywhere. I played in 22 different states of the USA.
Oh, wow.
And I have been on three world tours around, and I have played in castles and amphitheatres all over the world. And yes, how lucky am I at my age, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I think you know how old I am. Yes, but at the same time, I'm still alive, and I'm playing, and I'm performing, and I'm in China.
Yeah.
I can't. It's still about the opposite side of the world.
Yeah, we're so privileged to have you here as well. You know,
Oh,
it's to the audience, like, this is very authenticity. This is the real. We can see the real appearance and performing from a UK actor to perform Agatha Christie title. This is like very authenticity. Yeah. I have to say, this is also the first time like Agatha Christie
Yes.
English play been to hear this
Yes.
territory. It's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like very unique for all of us to see.
I think I think having Lucy Bailey as a director.
Yeah.
My God, she's wacky.
Yeah.
I mean, she blows Agatha Christie apart.
Yeah,
She just
yeah.
takes it and she makes it like Jacobean tragedy.
Yeah.
She turns it into something else, and I think that's the way forward. The Christie estate, who hold the texts very anally, change is very difficult with the people who run Agatha Christie's estate. But they're slowly. Lucy Bailey is going, go on, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Yeah. And it's incredibly exciting to play. Yeah. And we can play it really without being, we can play it with great realism and with great excitement, and also, play a bit mad. We're all mad. All these characters are mad.
Yeah.
They're all mad. And what she was trying to say, Agatha Christie, about England in 1939, I don't really know. But she puts all these people who hate each other on an island and gets them to tear each other to bits. It doesn't matter who kills them, really. They're all going to tear each other to bits, and they're like wild animals on there in there. What she thought of the English in 1930, I don't know. What was she expecting? But then came the Second World War. And
the last question is to me.
I've gone off.
No, it's fine. To me, it's like a very interesting adventure. It's like in 1939, Agatha Christie wrote the novel. Yeah. And then in 1979 you perform in China, and then here you be again to present these two beautiful things and in English. So, do you think anything that
Yeah, please.
As an actor who in this industry, longer enough to bridge the Hamlet with Agatha Christie, like what do you?
Well, when you take no, please. Yeah, could be important.
Sorry. Excuse me. 只能靠你了。Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, when you go to the United States and you go to southern states, with Shakespeare, you put your Shakespeare on the breakfast table, and sitting in the next table is a black Baptist preacher, and he's got a copy of the King James Bible.
Oh, wow.
So you've got the Bible, and you've got William Shakespeare. Now you've got Agatha Christie as well, because she's getting to be more played than Shakespeare in a way. Back home.
Wow.
Certainly, the growth industry, people want to work out for themselves on stage what's going on, all the clues. And alongside that, I would say J.K. Rowling with the Harry Potter. But there's something that links national obsessions with certain things to do with the
fruitful UK cultural heritage of all the...
I mean, I think we're in very safe hands, thank God. We said, as younger actors, we probably wouldn't have touched Agatha Christie. It had a certain smell to it because the Mousetrap had been running in London for 4 years. And they were tired productions. They needed zooting up. Now we're able to play them as proper adventures, as something to
chew on,
to be truly. And I think this production really rediscovers this particular adventure. We're very proud of it. Very brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure. Okay.
That was a pleasure.
It's my.
I hope you
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. It's very helpful. It's very helpful.
Good.